What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I'm going to be sharing my current best classes in Infinite Warfare. In addition to this, I'm going to be going into detail and explaining exactly why I use what I use, and this is designed to give you some insight and potentially a different perspective on things to help you guys create the best classes for you and your playstyle. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so starting off, I just want to let you guys know that my classes are very fluid. These aren't like my set classes and I only use these 6 classes. I'm constantly changing little things up with them. I might completely change the gun out while keeping the perks, or I might change some perks out while keeping the gun. Things still move around. So don't just look at these and be like, these are always what Ace uses, he never touches anything else. I try to use as much variety as possible, but the classes that I have today are ones that I feel really comfortable with. There's nice variety within them, and I just really like them and wanted to share them with you today. So first up, let's have a look at my NV4 nuke class. Now keep in mind, I'm not somebody that uses the NV4 all the time. I know a lot of people complain about that. It is a completely overused gun. I agree with that. But I feel like I have to have a class ready to go, just in case I run into a bunch of other people using NV4s and I want something to comfortably challenge them with. Plus, I mean, it is fun to go for nukes every now and then. So for this one, we've got the NV4 Fallout with Quick Draw, Suppressor, and Stock. All of those are excellent attachments, keep you off the minimap, allow you to snap on target real quick, and you can use that stock to help evade shots in a gunfight. As for perks, we're going to see a lot of similar perks in all of the classes here, especially with Dexterity and Ghost. Ghost is on every single one of my classes, and in my opinion, there's no reason not to use Ghost in this game. It's such a powerful perk, and as much as many people hate Ghost users in this game, staying off that minimap is very, very valuable, and there's really no reason not to use it. And then Dexterity, I just find is great, especially for an aggressive playstyle. You don't want to get caught reloading when you run into multiple enemies, so Dexterity is extremely helpful as well. After that, we've got Scavenger, which obviously for a nuke class, we don't want to be running out of ammo because you have to use that nuke gun in order to get the nuke. And then finally, we have Dead Silence, and this is a perk that I sometimes switch out. I kind of go back and forth between Dead Silence and Hardwired on this class. Dead Silence is great because mainly I don't like hearing my own footsteps. It just helps me focus a little bit more on my surroundings when I'm in game, and that can be really helpful going on a nuke streak. But also, there's something to be said about Hardwired just because it counters so many things in this game. So that's my nuke class. Now let's move on to my R3K class. Now this is a class I've been using quite a bit since the buff because the R3K is now a very viable gun, plus I am grinding camos out on it. We've got the R3K Counterbalance, which is the one that reduces your view kick a little bit, and I really like that while going for headshots. It allows me to just focus on those headshots a little bit better, which is why I'm not running the Spearhead variant. Now I would recommend, if you're just looking for a good class to go kill people with the R3K, the Spearhead variant is the best one in my opinion. Simply because it's pretty cheap to just buy with salvage, and that decreased burst delay is extremely helpful. But for me, I'm using the Counterbalance because I'm going for headshots. I've got a reflex sight on there, as well as quick draw and fusion mag. I just don't like running out of ammo, so fusion mag is great for that. And quick draw, I highly recommend on every single assault rifle and LMG, even SMGs a lot of times. Quick draw is going to be very helpful because it essentially decreases your time to kill and makes you kill faster overall because you're able to snap on a target faster. Now you might be wondering, I said I was going for headshots with this, why am I not using a Faraday Slug? Because Faraday Slug will increase your headshot multiplier. With the R3K's damage profile, a Faraday Slug doesn't decrease the number of shots it takes to kill if they're headshots. It's going to take 3 shots to the head regardless of whether or not you have a Faraday Slug on there, so it's a complete waste of an attachment on this gun. Next up, we've got the Spartan Launcher, and I just like to throw the Spartan on some of my classes. That way, if an enemy does call a score streak in, I'm equipped to just switch over and take it out. I don't have to switch classes or anything like that. Having said that, I don't use it on every class, but usually if I've got that extra point, I'm going to spend it on a Spartan, and then again, if I have an extra point after that, I'll spend it on something like a Jammer Grenade or a Blackout Grenade. For Tier 1 perks, once again, we've got Dexterity and Ghost. Not going to explain that since I already did. Hardline is just a great choice for a Tier 2 perk. There's nothing that really jumps out at me for this particular class setup aside from Hardline, so that's why I use it on this class. And then finally, Hardwired, already explained this a little bit, it just counters so much in this game. Moving on to the next one, this is my Raw class, and with this one I use the Reflex Sight, Quick Draw, as well as Suppressor. And again, I'm going for headshots on the Raw, but it has a very similar sort of damage profile where Faraday Slug is not going to decrease the number of headshots it takes to kill. It's going to be 3 shots to the head regardless of whether or not you have a Faraday Slug equipped. Once again, we've got a Spartan launcher on there, and with this one, we just use Ghost. I feel like Dexterity, it still can be helpful because you can reload this very quickly, but it's an LMG and it's also an energy LMG, so it automatically is reloading ammo a little bit as you go. And also with the playstyle, you tend to be hanging back a little bit, and a lot of the times you're going to have plenty of time to reload whenever you feel it's necessary. For tier 2, once again, hardline for this one. This is an excellent class for hanging back and putting up those higher streaks, so that's why I like to use hardline on there. And then finally, we've got both hardwired as well as marksman. Now, I've already explained hardwired, but with marksman, I just find this extremely helpful in acquiring your targets at longer ranges, which is where we're going to be trying to force our gunfights, so marksman's great for that. Plus, it does reduce your flinch a little bit, which definitely doesn't hurt. Moving on to my shotgun class, with this one you can easily swap this out for any one of the shotguns. I'm actually right now working on the Reaver as well as the Banshee for camos, so I can swap between the two and keep the perks and everything else exactly the same. But for this one, we've got the rare variant of the Banshee, which actually reduces your hipfire spread, which makes those one-shot kills a whole lot easier, especially because I stacked it with a laser sight. So this means I never aim down sight with the Banshee, I just use the laser sight as well as the expose variant. And then I've also got a speaker amp on there, which just increases your one-shot kill potential by, I believe it's about 10%. It's fairly minimal, but I mean, if it gets me that extra one-shot kill every now and then, it's going to be worth it for me. For a secondary, we've got the Hornet with extended mags, and I love the Hornet because it's kind of like a pocket SMG almost. So you can just whip that out if you get enemies that are at kind of mid-range, like they're just a little bit beyond where your shotgun is effective. Throw that Hornet out there and you'll be able to beat those guys in gunfights. And then for perks, once again, Dexterity Ghost. Second perk is going to be Cold-Blooded. I actually like Cold-Blooded every now and then because it completely removes your health bar above your head, as well as your name, that big red thing that pops up above your head for enemies. It completely eliminates that. So sometimes this just makes the enemy hesitate just that little bit that you need to get your shot on target because they don't see the red thing, so for a lot of people, they don't shoot until they see that red. It doesn't work every time, but even if it's getting me just a few kills with people hesitating that little bit, it's worth it to me. And then finally, we've got Dead Silence on there just because I'm going to be rushing around, I'm going to be up close and personal, and I want to be silent as I'm doing that. Moving on to my SMG class, once again, you can just swap this out for any of the other SMGs really, and it'll be just fine, but right now I'm using the Karma 45 Phobos, and with this one, I've got Quick Draw and Grip on there, just so I can snap on target quickly, and I feel like Grip can be quite helpful with a lot of the SMGs, since their recoil tends to be a little bit on the higher side, even though the Karma is relatively controllable. With this one again, we've got the Spartan Launcher, Blackout Grenade, which is really, really effective. I don't know if you guys haven't been hit by a Blackout Grenade, it can completely like blind you and disorient you, and you're in big trouble if you get hit hard by a Blackout Grenade. So I really like using those. For perks, once again, Dexterity and Ghost. Scavenger on this one, just because I don't like running out of ammo with this, and it tends to spray through ammo fairly quickly. And then again, Dead Silence, because I'm going to be rushing around, making a lot of noise otherwise, so I like to use that Dead Silence. Finally, I've got a great Volk class for you guys. The Volk has once again been buffed back to its former glory, or almost back to its former glory at least. And I like to use the Volk Greed variant, because the Greed variant has stability on there, which just decreases your recoil a little bit. I use an Elo sight, Quick Draw, and Foregrip. When I combine Foregrip as well as stability, that gives me a total of a 10% reduction to view kick, which is excellent. Once again, we've got a Spartan on there, Dexterity Ghost, Scavenger, and Hardwired. Now at this point, I've already explained why I use everything, so I'm not going to go into everything in great detail, but I will once again say I am going for headshots on the Volk, and once again, same story here, Faraday Slug isn't going to do anything for you. So one last thing to point out, those are all the classes, but a lot of people have been asking me what are my favorite rigs and payloads and traits to use. And so far, I'm really stuck on FTL. I love FTL Jump as well as Phase Shift combined with Supercharge, just because they charge so quickly and they help in a lot of situations. They help very, very often. I'm not really a big fan of using the weapon payloads, just because I feel like a lot of them are high risk, high reward, they change the way you play, and oftentimes they make me play a little bit too overconfident or too aggressive, and it just kind of screws up my rhythm and my flow. I definitely prefer the more ability style ones like FTL Jump, Phase Shift, Reactive Armor, as well as Active Camo. So those are the ones I tend to stick to. I'd like to know in the comment section below, after talking about that a little bit, would you guys like to see me do a similar video going through all of the combat rigs and explaining what I like to use, what I don't like to use, and why? Would that be helpful for you guys? I'm thinking about doing that in the future, but I want to get your guys' feedback on that first. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.